Hello everyone. Today we'll be going over question number 4, HeapHeapHooray. So today we have a minimum heap question, and in order to solve this, let's remember the two important min heap properties. Number 1 is the min heap property, which asks us that every node has to be less than or equal to their children. And finally, we have the completion property, which asks us that if any empty spots exist on the structure, they have to be on the lower level starting from the rightmost spot. What I mean here is that addition has to start from the leftmost end of the lower level, and we have to add each node after the other one, so we cannot just skip an empty spot here and then make an addition to this place, and this would not be appropriate by the completion property. What we have to do is add from the leftmost spot and move on to right one by one. So let's get started with these information in mind. Let's get started with part A. And it asks us to bottom-up heapify the given tree. To remember what bottom-up heapification was, for bottom-up heapification, what we do is that consider the array representation of the given heap, which has the root at the start of the array, and the last addition, like the spot of the last addition, which is the rightmost lower level, at the end. And considering the array representation, we start from the last index and move our way to the first. And what we do is try to see if the current node can be promoted to upper level. And what we have to check if the promotion is valid or not is that if the structure obeys the min heap properties after the promotion. So starting off again, since we're starting from the end of the array representation of the heap, we're starting from 8 here, and then checking that. So once we check, we see that 7 is actually less than 8. So 8 doesn't require a promotion. So we move one index to the left, one index closer to the start in the array representation of the heap. So again, now we're at 1 and trying to see if 1 requires a promotion to the upper level. And since it's actually less than 7, what happens here is that we swap the places of 2 and promote 1 to a upper level and derank 7. Now, since 1 is actually less than both of his children, this small portion of the heap actually obeys the min heap properties. And so what I want to do is keep repeating the same process until the entire heap obeys the property. So again, moving on to index left. So now we check if 5 requires a promotion here. And then since it's actually less than 6, again, we repeat the same operation. Promote 5 and derank 6. Again, now checking this subportion of the minimum heap that we got. Since 5 is less than both of its children, 9 and 6, our operation and the current structure of the tree is valid. And since we're done with the lower level, what we do is go to an upper level and then again start from the rightmost end. And now we check if 1 here, although 1 it was promoted and the promoted from a lower level, 1 promotion doesn't mean that our structure obeys the properties completely. So we still have to check until we exactly make sure. And since 1 is actually less than 9, what we do is we promote 1 to an even upper level. 9, 9, 6, 7, 8. And again, now we can realize that we actually found the correct root since 1 is the smallest element in this minimum heap. But finding the correct root doesn't single-handedly mean that our bottom-up heapification is correct. What we have to do is that the node that we have to make sure that the node that we deranked to the place of 1 actually belongs to that level. And we have to check it by trying to see if both of 9's children are less than or equal to 9. But in this case, we can see that they're actually not. So since we're dealing with a min heap, what we do in this situation is that find the smallest child of 9 and then swap its places with 9 so that our structure would look like this. And the reason why we do that is that we want our heap to obey the, again, min heap properties and have every load be less than or equal to their children. So getting the smallest node would trivially correlate that. Since now we can check that every node is actually less than or equal to their children here and here. Now we successfully finished bottom-up heapifying our min heap. Now it asks in part B, it asks us to insert the value 2. And again, to obey the completion properties with insertions, what we do is that since the current level that we're on is full, we move to a lower level and again start from the leftmost empty spot and move make our way to the rightmost end. So our addition would look like this. And we would add to, yet again, to a new lower level, lowest level, and to the leftmost spot. Let's get this out of the way. But now, since our min heap obeys the completion property, this doesn't mean that it automatically obeys the min heap property. So we have to make sure that 2 is at the correct level. And what I mean by that is that we have to try to promote 2 so that it finds the appropriate level in order to obey the min heap property. So since 2 is less than 9, what we do is we swap its places with 9 and promote it to a lower upper. 9, 8. But a single promotion doesn't mean that we successfully solved the solution question. So we have to, again, check until we make sure. And since 5 is actually greater than 2, again, what we do here is that promote 2 to an even upper level. And 9. And now we can make sure that, again, by checking that every node is less than or equal to their children, our minimum heap obeys both the min heap and the completion properties. So we got ourselves a solution for part B2. And finally, it asks us to remove the value 1 from our solution in part B. And for that, since 1 is the root in this case, what we do when we remove the root from a min heap is that we promote the node in the place of the latest addition, which was the place that we added to, but now it holds 9. And we find the slot that holds the latest addition to our min heap and promote it to be the root. But however, since this would most probably will not obey by the min heap property rules, what we do here is that we try to sync the new root to as down as possible. So what I mean by this in this case is that since 9 is greater than both of its children and we're dealing with a min heap, what we do is find 9's smallest children and derank 9 into the place of its smallest children and promote its smallest children to be the new root, which would look something like this. 5, 6. Again, one thing that we always want to keep in mind is that a single operation doesn't mean that we arrived at a solution with heaps, and we have to check until we make sure. And what I mean by that is, again, although we just derank 9 from the root to a lower level, 9 is still greater than both of its children. So it requires an additional deranking operation. So again, we apply the same procedure, find the smallest children since we're dealing with min heaps, which is 5, and swap the 2's places. 9, 6, 9, 8. And now we can make sure that our min heap has a correct root, obeys the completion and both the min heap properties. And yeah, so our solution for part C is here. Hopefully this walkthrough has been useful for you guys, and thank you.